This video is brought to you by friend of the channel Squarespace. Stick around to learn more about them, as well as a special offer they're making available through my channel. Gamers! I am back from LA, safe and sound, I hope. I'm awaiting the results of a Rona test, since like 4 people I met over there were like, "Oh hey man, just so you know, I got the Rona and we were hanging out a ton. I hope you're all Gucci, peace." That's okay by the way, a bit of ISO is probably just what the doctor ordered after the excitement of the summer game shindig. I had a grand old time, got to hang out with Yong, with Jake Baldino, with Danny O'Dwyer of NoClip, and a few other people that I won't spoil yet. Tune in this weekend to find out more. In all the business of the post-show chin-wagging, podcast recording, and 14-hour flight home, I never got the chance to cover the Xbox showcase, or should I say showcases, since Xbox held some weird extended showcase a few days after the first one, which felt kind of unnecessary and indulgent, but hey, it happened. Now that I'm back, I want to cover it. I know it's late, but I figure all the news I give you is late. All of the time. It's like a week late every week, but you still tune in, and I love you for it. So here it is, people. Uncle Phil's big green video game tacular hoedown. Hold on to your butts.
Of course. Don't stress, Layla.
I've seen the movement in the dark. I've seen the shadow. I see it.
Oh, Lord!
The show began rather unexpectedly with an extended look at Arkane's Redfall. This was revealed last year, and the cinematic trailer made it pretty clear that it was going to be a Left 4 Dead style co-op shooter. Earlier this year, gameplay leaked, but unlike other gaming leaks, Last of Us 2, that leak was quite contained, as in not many people saw it or even knew it existed. So when the world got their first look at the next big thing from the makers of Dishonored and Prey, people were both surprised and impressed, generally speaking. Surprised because this is very, very different from anything that Arkane has done before. This is a studio famous for single-player immersive sims, not balls-to-the-wall multiplayer shooters, so seeing the full spectacle of this, the dazzling verticality of it, the cast of characters running about and synergizing their abilities as they mow down vampiric hordes, it was a lot to take in. Perhaps a little too much for some people. I mean, YouTube like ratios are a very crude and unreliable metric, but I think there's something in them, and there's definitely a chunk of people that don't like what they're seeing here for whatever reason. Perhaps it's to do with expectations, since Arkane are known for a certain type of game, and this definitely isn't that. Perhaps the single-player focused Arkane community bristle at the thought of an online multiplayer shooter. I don't know. Selfishly, I kinda wish Arkane will make it another immersive sim, that's the honest truth. I love Dishonored, and Prey is a masterpiece, and I'm just like, make more of that. But at the same time, I really do celebrate when studios get to make stuff outside of their traditional wheelhouse, because I'm sure they get bored making the same thing over and over. So while I selfishly want Prey 2, I'm very happy that Arkane are making the game that they want to make, and I have more than enough faith in this studio to make a great game, so I'm looking forward to playing this one when it launches next year. Next up was the biggest troll of the entire show. As I was watching this, I was like, oh my god, finally, a release date, here we go. I literally held up my phone, ready to take a photo of the release date when it appeared on the screen, since I was watching the show at the Xbox Live FanFest thing. When that final screen flashed up and there was no date, I was like, wow, now I know how everyone felt when I made that Silksong release date joke. Still, the shock of that troll was lessened moments later when Xbox rep Sarah Bond confirmed that the show was focused on stuff you'll be able to play in the next 12 months. And I think that's an important point that got a little overlooked in the coverage. Apparently, this 12-month thing came as a result of Phil Spencer being frustrated that last year's Xbox showcase was full of CG trailers and big promises that wouldn't be delivered for years to come. Apparently, he insisted on actual gameplay for games that will be out in the next 12 months. And I think that approach paid huge dividends, since we saw over 30 games, and we actually got gameplay for pretty much all of them, and we get to actually play these games very soon. No fucking Elder Scrolls 6 logo reveal, even though it gets released in 2045. Fuck you, Todd. I love Phil's approach, and it really made me more excited for what we were seeing because I knew it was actually real. Anyway, here's something no one saw coming.
All right, you're a bounty hunter now. You gotta help me rescue my friends. They're Gatlians just like me.
Hey, why are you squeezing me so tight? How about a little dinner first and some bubble bath maybe first? Look at us, blasting away!
The dude behind Rick and Morty has made more than his fair share of games at this point, but most of them have been lower budget VR titles. This game looks like someone gave him a big pile of money and said, go nuts, and there are very few people that can go more nuts than Justin Roiland. Unironically, this was one of the best looking trailers of the entire showcase. For real, visually this is excellent, like AAA level visuals, and you just know that it's going to be funny as hell with the talent behind it. I don't know man, this has all the makings of a sleeper hit and it's out pretty soon, October this year. It was at this point that one of Riot's co-founders appeared on screen, ready to announce what was certainly the most underreported news of the entire showcase. Riot and Microsoft are getting into bed together, and hopefully it's consensual, because, you know, Riot. The deal is pretty huge. Game Pass subscribers will get access to every single League of Legends character for PC, every single League of Legends character for Wild Rift, the mobile port of League of Legends, every single character in Valorant for PC, a whole bunch of cards for Legends of Runeterra, Riot's league-based card game, and a bunch of stuff for Teamfight Tactics. I don't really know what, because I don't know shit about that game. Point is, this is literally thousands of dollars worth of stuff, or thousands of hours worth of grinding, all included in a Game Pass subscription. That is insane and easily the most value that has ever been added to Game Pass in a single edition. Finally, we can combine the wonders of Ranked League with the elevated discourse of Xbox Party Chat. What could go wrong? We did get a brief look at some more A Plague Tale Requiem gameplay. It's looking familiar, but that's perfectly fine since the first one was wonderful and I'd be totally okay with more of that. If car porn is your thing, then you can do little better than Forza Motorsport, which was unveiled this week. The more serious-faced, track-based counterpart to the racing fiesta that is Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport is more akin to the Gran Turismo series, only with less microtransactions. Maybe. This year, Forza promises to be even prettier with in-racing ray tracing, something that wasn't available in Horizon, as well as a dynamic day-night cycle that changes not only the aesthetic, but the track conditions as well. Think stuff like the heat of the asphalt and other stuff we probably won't even notice. Damage physics are in there so you can mess your car the hell up. That's nice. To be honest, I wouldn't have cared that much about all of this, except for how much I enjoyed Horizon 5. I know that's a different game, but it was just so well made that I'm actually quite keen to get stuck into motorsport when it launches, whenever that is. Flight Sim is still going strong, only now you can fly a Pelican from Halo into space. Suck on that, Elon. Overwatch 2 is coming, and it's coming soon, and it's going to be free.
I am your queen! Let's take him to the wasteland!
With Microsoft soon to acquire Blizzard, we got the first of two Blizzard announcements, this one serving up a release date for the sort of anticipated hero shooter, October 4th. That's a good date because it leaves plenty of time for beta testing, which does kick off in July actually, and you can sign up for that right now. The bigger news though is that it's free to play. For a long time now, people have wondered aloud how Blizzard are going to justify the price tag for this product, given that it's more of an update than a sequel, and certainly other similar games would have dished this out for free. Blizzard have smartly sidestepped that question by giving gamers a 5-finger discount, a move that finally aligns Overwatch's business model to that of most contemporary competitive shooters. That wasn't all though, we got the reveal of a new hero, Junker Queen. She's another Australian, pulled straight from the Mad Max archetype. Another one. Anytime a game adds an Australian to the roster, they have to be Mad Max inspired. Those are the rules, I guess. Anyway, look, things are looking up for Overwatch. The beta's coming up, the launch is soon, new hero, free to play, and off the record, I did hear a few interesting things about the future of the game, stuff that I won't spoil because it's not my place to do that. But yeah, the Overwatch community has waited a long-ass time to get here, so hopefully Blizzard delivers on all the promises that they've made. Hey, this looks ridiculously awesome. If you were to ask me what my favorite trailer of the entire showcase was, it'd be this. Perhaps it's because of my childhood fondness for Hot Wheels, or my more recent fondness for the excellent Hot Wheels Unleashed released last year, but goddamn, if this isn't just a fucking cool looking video game. Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels expansion. The trailer they showed off in the showcase all looked a little pre-rendered, and I wondered if the actual video game would look like this, but during the extended showcase they did show some actual gameplay, and yeah, it looks like this. Just so ridiculous and huge and fun looking. God, I really want to race these tracks. This is a paid update coming to Horizon 5 and it's available on July 19th, and I'm very, very down for that. We got yet another CG trailer of a de-aged Vin Diesel riding a dinosaur in Ark II. He says, quote, "Any real gamer is excited for Ark II," end quote. Well, never thought it'd be Vin Diesel of all people to expose me as the fake gamer that I am, but then again, this man was involved in the Fast and the Furious crossroads, so I should have known better than to doubt him. Here's one you should have on your radar. Now this is Flintock, probably not something you've heard of to this point, but that's okay. It's flying under the radar like the studio's previous title, Ashen. Ashen was one of the earliest Souls-likes, and it was an interesting take on the formula because of how much it streamlined things and made it more accessible. I kind of described it as like baby's first Souls-like, a really great entry point for anyone intimidated by the genre. This new title, Flintock, retains the same focus on third-person combat, but it's a lot faster and more flashy this time around. Nice setting, interesting characters. I think this will be one to keep an eye on. It's launching early 2023. Scorn is that H.R. Geiger-inspired first-person shooter horror game thing. Reports are that this one has had a pretty shaky development, and I've heard from a few people that recent playtesting of the game didn't go so well. This thing looks super cool, but does it play well? I guess we'll find out when it launches on October 21st of this year. Big news if you're a Minecraft fan, a new Minecraft game is on the way. This one is called Minecraft Legends, and rarely has a trailer shown so much and so little at the same time. I sat through this whole thing waiting for Mojang to explain what the hell this game actually was, but the best they could come up with was action strategy, whatever the hell that means. I even tuned into the extended showcase where the host was like, "What is this game?" And the other guy was like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah." He said absolutely nothing of value, and we still have no clue what this game is, so let's just hope it ends up being better than Minecraft Dungeons. Lightyear Frontier is a colourful survival game with some wholesome G-rated vibes. Gunfire Reborn is a pretty great first-person shooter roguelike that's been in early access on PC for a while. The Last Case of Benedict Fox has an intriguing art style and premise, and As Dusk Falls is a narrative-led adventure game that allows up to 8 people to play at once using a combination of both controllers and smartphones. It's heavily inspired by the likes of Fargo and Dog Day Afternoon. A simple but effective art style and some engaging writing. This one's out pretty soon, July 19th. Prior to the show, there were rumblings that we could expect huge things from Obsidian, so imaginations ran wild. Jason Schreier hinted it could be something like Disco Elysium, while more optimistic fans formed prayer circles for Fallout New Vegas 2. It turned out to be this little nugget, Pentiment. It's a decade-spanning murder mystery set in the Middle Ages, with its name referring to the underlying image within a painting that can become clear with the passage of time. A very clever conceit in both name and visual design, since apparently the art style will subtly change as you progress through the game, and certain characters will look increasingly frayed and ragged. Obsidian's writing has long been celebrated, so it's nice to see them tackling what is a strictly text-based adventure. This is obviously more niche in its appeal than a post-apocalyptic first-person RPG, but I suspect the target audience is going to get a big kick out of this one. A few years back, I called Grounded the best game you shouldn't be playing right now because it hit early access and it was awesome, but it was pretty feature incomplete, so better to wait for the full package. The work is now nearly done, and Obsidian has announced that Grounded will hit 1.0 on September 22nd for both PC and Xbox. This is essentially Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but a survival game, and it rules, and you should totally wrangle some people into playing this one. You'll definitely have a blast. Speaking of survival games, probably a good time to mention that Valheim is coming to both Game Pass on PC and Xbox consoles. Valheim is, in my view, the greatest survival game ever. It was the second best thing I played last year, and it's not even finished yet. Like 4 of the promised 9 biomes aren't even in the game yet, and even then, it's still remarkable. The team behind it has outsourced this port so they can continue to work on the main game, which has suffered from glacially slow updates, but it's just awesome to know that console owners will get to experience this because it really is very special. PC Game Pass launches later this year, and the Xbox port launches sometime next year, no date yet. Quick shout out to Ereban Shadow Legends, I just really like the look of this one.
They will not drag me into their light.
Now, I will admit, I was not ready to feel anything when it comes to a Diablo game, but this gameplay really did turn me around.
I'm really excited for folks to get their hands on Diablo IV. just to see millions of people really enjoying the different options.
Through the campaign,
local events,
couch co-op,
endgame,
PvP, it almost doesn't end.
And we are so close.
The Diablo IV showcase began with a lengthy character introduction trailer for the Necromancer class, and this trailer did a fantastic job of selling just how dark and gritty this next installment might end up being. This is one of the biggest criticisms of Diablo III, its cartoonish art style and its lack of gore. It was real PG-13 stuff in a franchise that always belonged in the MA-15+ category. This trailer did not hold back with blood and skulls and decapitations and all sorts of cool Necromancer shit. This would have been enough to pique my interest alone, but Blizzard went all in with a new gameplay reveal trailer, and this is when I got firmly on board. The new art style, just so much darker and more gothic. The combat looks more intimate than 3 ever was, much closer to Diablo II, which had fewer enemies on screen. There's the promise of an open world to explore, world bosses, a huge Paragon leveling system, and tons of other stuff. I just think it looks really, really great, and it's just such a shame that Diablo Immortal exists, because it is very rightly suffocating the life out of the Diablo hype machine right now. It's impossible to think about this franchise and not think of the towering monument to pay-to-win greed that Immortal represents. So Blizzard, I hope it was worth it, because there's no coming back from that. Cocoon is another game I recommend putting on your radar. It comes from one half of the team behind games like Inside and Limbo. That team went their separate ways and are now working on their own projects, and this is one of them. It has a nice art style, like an isometric journey almost. This one looks like one of those vibe games that I'm very much about, so this is firmly on my watch list for 2023. A while back, Phil Spencer made clear his commitment to getting a foothold in the Japanese market. I was there in London when Phil Spencer announced that they were bringing the entire Yakuza franchise to Game Pass, and that they were in discussions to bring Final Fantasy XIV to the Xbox. That's still a work in progress, I guess. But Phil has been quietly marching towards his goal of a Japan that gives a shit about Xbox, and that strategy is paying some dividends, since it was only recently that Xbox actually outsold PlayStation for the very first time ever in Japan. It was only for 1 week, and sure, that was largely because there were no PS5s in stock, but hey, Xbox are selling something, which they certainly weren't doing in the Xbox One era. At the showcase, Phil unveiled the next phase of his big in Japan plan. First up was Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which it turns out is a Souls-like set in feudal Japan. This does come from Team Ninja, who have had plenty of practice with the Souls-like formula in their excellent Neo series. That one drew from the deep well of Japanese mythology, so it'll be nice to see their spin on a different set of gods and monsters. But Uncle Phil was just beginning his 1-2 punch combo. Next up, he delivered news that Xbox weebs have been begging for since time immemorial. Persona was coming to the Xbox. And not just the offshoot stuff. Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal were all headed to the Xbox. But that wasn't all, because in addition to that bombshell, we also learned that all 3 games would be making their way to PC. To be fair, Persona 4 was already available on Steam, but Persona 3 and 5 sure as shit were not. So this is huge news, and it left Nintendo fans very upset. For as loud as Xbox fans have been in their calls for Persona, no audience has been louder or more incessant than Nintendo Switch fans. There is a rumor, by the way, that a Nintendo Direct is coming at the end of the month, so hopefully Atlus and Sega deliver there. But today isn't about them, it's about Xbots, who finally get to enjoy some of the finest RPGs ever made. That kicks off on October 21st when Persona 5 Royal launches, and then you have to assume that the 2 other titles will arrive soon after that. At this point, Uncle Phil's quick jab and right cross had left us unsteady on our feet. Sensing our disequilibrium, Uncle Phil wound up his haymaker, and when it connected, it did not disappoint.
こんにちは、小島秀夫です。ずっと作りたかったゲームがあります。それは誰も体験したことも見たこともない全く新しいものです。
The man himself, Hideo Kojima, aka Big Daddy, aka Hassan Karaman. He was in the house, sort of, beamed to us through the power of the intertube so that he could reveal the existence of his long-rumored, long-leaked Xbox exclusive partnership. The rumor got its start a while back when Jeff Grubb reported on the existence of an agreement between Xbox and the Japanese Lale Lule legend, and was further buttressed by reporting from Tom Henderson, who claimed it was a horror title he was working on. Central to the rumors was the promise that the game would lean heavily on Microsoft's cloud computing capabilities, a promise made by other games at the start of the Xbox One era, but never fulfilled. Kojima was tight-lipped on what his next game would be, but he did claim that it was the game he always wanted to make, and as a Metal Gear Solid fan, I took that personally. This barb aside, Kojima's brief appearance was a true highlight of the show, and the clearest sign yet of how committed Xbox was to securing exclusive rights to Japanese talent. Like a setting sun, we arch from an eastern luminary to a western one, and all of a sudden we're confronted with the familiar visage of Todd Howard. He was back, wearing his Lucky Lion jacket, and after months of boring videos of him sitting around a table throwing out buzzwords and concept art, we finally got our first look at Starfield. No, Austin, that's No Man's Sky. Easy mistake to make, I get it. But could we get the Starfield trailer, please? Thanks. No, Austin, that's the Star Citizen trailer. That's like Starfield, except instead of building your own ship, you have to buy them for like 10,000 actual dollars. No, can we please get the Starfield trailer from Bethesda Game Studios? Just look for the one with the lowest frame rate, and that'll be it. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is Starfield, the first new IP from Bethesda Game Studios in 25 years, and the studio that brought us Horse Armor, The Creation Club, and Fallout 76 are back with their most ambitious project yet. You see that planet over there? You can land on it. 16 times the planets. It just works at 22.5 FPS. No, seriously, jokes aside, I know this footage has met with some mixed response, and I think that's fair. I'm in the rather boring camp of thinking this just looks good. I don't think it looks industry redefining, but nor do I think it looks like contemptible trash. It looks like Skyrim in space, for good and for ill, and that's pretty much what I expected, so I'm okay with that. But anyone who managed to convince themselves that Starfield would be either a technological or gameplay design breakthrough, yeah man, I think you were setting yourself up for disappointment on that one. Certainly parts of this are a little worrying. I keep cracking jokes about the frame rate because yeah, it sucks. It's 30, and like, not even a good 30. It's a Bethesda 30. For real, man, like, when you make a game trailer, you show your game running at its best possible performance, like running on NASA supercomputers. I mean, this is still the Creation engine, the same engine that powered Fallout 76, albeit a little bit updated, and yeah, it still runs terribly. When I heard that Bethesda was sticking with Creation, I didn't expect any different, but the proof is here, I guess. This also has a lot of impact on actual game design, because Todd would later confirm that it's not possible to do what No Man's Sky does, you know, that whole thing where you like take off from a planet and fly straight into outer space. There's a loading screen that separates planets from outer space here in Starfield, because this engine can barely render a broom closet without hitching, so loading an entire galaxy on the fly was never going to be on the cards here. Then there's the NPCs, who retain their dead-eyed stare. That's a bummer, because great strides have been made in this regard over many years. Just look at stuff like Horizon Forbidden West, or Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, this is how Creation does faces, and yeah, they're not exactly cutting edge at this point, so here we are. Design-wise, a lot of people were pretty disappointed with the combat that they saw. I wasn't, because I never played Bethesda games for combat. It was always just serviceable at best. It looks serviceable here too. It's got some cool looking guns, but enemies don't really respond to being shot. That's what I expected. So yeah, all of this is either pretty crappy or pretty mid, but there are some really cool things here that I am actually excited about. I love this setup. I'm a sucker for sci-fi, and if Bethesda can deliver me an expansive sci-fi world to explore, then I'm down for that. We got to look at a number of locations, and I think more than a few of them look awesome. We got a hint of some of the factions that we'll meet and the grand quest that we'll be on, and it seems a little familiar, but hey, I'm okay with a little familiar. The Expanse is basically just Mass Effect, and that doesn't stop it from being awesome. The promise of building outposts is cool, and the chance to build and customize your own spaceship is totally rad, and then you can take that up into outer space and shoot things with it. Come on, man, that's going to be pretty cool, probably. Morrowind, to this day, is still one of the most formative game experiences in my entire life, and Skyrim is still possessed of a special magic that no one can quite explain, but we all know it's there. If Bethesda can capture just a portion of that and breathe it into this new sci-fi world, I think we'll be in for a pretty good, maybe even great video game. But do I think that all of those 1,000 planets will be worth visiting? No, I don't, Todd. Do I think it's gonna run well? No, I don't, Todd. Do I think that it's gonna be stuffed with bugs? Hell yes, I do, Todd. But like 1 to 2 years after launch, I'm sure it'll be pretty great after the modders have fixed it. And with that, Todd Howard got back into his spaceship and flew to his secret moon base to continue work on his opus, knowing that when his work was done, he would then commence work on the game he revealed like 8 years ago now, Elder Scrolls 6. His departure marked the end of the Xbox showcase, and we're left to question, was it good? Yes, it was good. Very good, in fact. Phil's frustrations with showcases past gave rise to a 90-minute special full of actual video game gameplay, that creepy-looking Vin Diesel notwithstanding. Not only that, but everything you saw is going to be out in the next 12 months-ish. Sure, some stuff's going to get delayed, but I bet most of it won't, which means that if you're an Xbox fan, you're eating pretty well between now and next June. Finally, and I really think this can't be overstated, almost everything you saw at this showcase is going to be on Game Pass. That means that your next 12 months of gaming is going to cost you around $100. And that's for the stuff that was just in this showcase, when Game Pass has consistently shown that it's delivering mountains of third-party content each month. Quality first and third-party titles delivered within the next 12 months, playable on console, PC, and cloud, and for the low price of like $10 a month or whatever. That is an absolutely insane value proposition. And while the gaming pie continues to grow, I do expect that Xbox will continue taking a larger and larger portion of that pie, as their content, technology, and business model are leagues ahead of what they were doing in the ill-fated Xbox One era. Phil Spencer is running a tight ship, and that's always what I wanted to see from this generation. 3 console manufacturers all going strong, fighting hard for our dollars, giving us a huge range of incredible experiences. Well done, Team Green. Keep it up, and see you next year at Key 3 2023. Alright, so I don't know how serious some of you might be about your clans or your guilds or your fire teams or your free companies or your whatevers, but if you are super serious about them, then maybe you might want to create a website for your community. It could be a place to help with recruitment, to highlight relevant game news, to plug in important Twitter feeds for updates, to memorialize your community's greatest achievements, or just to shitpost and share memes. If that interests you, then the good news is that that's really easy to set up thanks to Squarespace. Squarespace can get you up and running with a professional-looking website in literally minutes. You just choose from one of their really schmick templates, you customize it to your taste using their intuitive tools, and boom, you are up and running. After that, there's so much you can add to it. You can embed videos or even host them on your website yourself. You can set up special members areas with exclusive content. You can connect social media accounts so you can easily share content you post, and so much more. Plus, there's detailed analytics tools so you can see how much time your community is spending on the site and what they're doing there. All of this is super simple. You don't need any knowledge or experience to get started with this stuff. Squarespace have put in the work to make this entire process so easy and so seamless, even for absolute beginners. As I mentioned earlier, Squarespace are a long-term partner of this channel, 3 years running now actually. I really appreciate that support. Squarespace are helping me turn my passion into a career, and that's what they do for a lot of people, because if you've got a passion that you want to share with the world, then a website is a really great place to start. To get started, visit squarespace.com, and if you want to get serious, visit squarespace.com/skillup to get 10% off your purchase of a website or a domain name. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.